What? 10 years ago, from today, I created my YouTube channel. I gotta say, I've gone through quite a lot throughout this journey, and in this video, I will be retrospecting through it. But before we get into the start of my channel's history, a bit of a disclaimer that I'm not just going to talk about the positive things through this channel's history, I'm also going to talk about the negative parts as well. Also, since this channel has reached 2,000 subscribers, this video will also double as a 2,000 subscriber special. So thank you guys so much for letting me reach this milestone. And also, I'm gonna go into what led up to it. It all began when I got into games like Toy Story 3 and Disney Infinity on the Wii. There were also other games like Toy Story Mania and the Cars games. But Toy Story 3, the video game, and Disney Infinity 1.0 would stand out to me as favourites of the bunch. And since I enjoyed them quite a lot, I would say they were very good gateways into getting into gaming, and would also eventually become nostalgic favourites of mine. Anyway, during 2013, a very good friend of mine would show me one of the most important video games of my life. The game that would probably start to get me into YouTube and begin my career as a gaming YouTuber. This game would be Minecraft. After being shown the game, I tried out the demo of Minecraft and I sucked a lot. Despite that though, I got into Minecraft enough to get the Java version and the Xbox 360 version. As for the Java version, the username on that account would be where I start to use RoastCM as a username. Anyway, unfortunately, the Wii had to be sold for the 360. But in its place, I got many games for the 360, most of which coming from a certain other interest that I would be getting into around the same time. But before that, during 2014, around the time when I was first getting into Minecraft, I was told about a channel called Stampy Longhead. But at the time, I did not know what YouTube was. So I assumed it was some kind of TV channel that I didn't know about. But I eventually found out what it actually was, and I would get into Stampy's videos, especially his Lovely World series. I would also get into other Minecraft YouTubers like DanTDM, but Minecraft wasn't the only thing that I was getting into around that time. Something else that would play a role in the beginning of my YouTube channel, and that is Lego. I got into Lego through not only the sets, but also the games and the straight-to-DVD movies. But I'd say the biggest thing to solidify me getting into Lego is the release of the Lego movie. And I gotta say, it has still been my favorite movie of all time ever since. Flash forward to 2015, on April 19th. I created my YouTube channel and uploaded 2 Lego stop-motion-ish videos. Now, as far as I remember, I do not exactly remember what inspired me to make those videos. I did get into Lego Ninjago around the same year, and I did get into Lego stop-motion videos around that series. But I don't exactly remember when in 2015 I got into Lego Ninjago. I tried looking for the videos, but I couldn't figure out what exactly were the videos that I put on YouTube at that time. But eventually, I just stopped uploading and abandoned the channel after 2 videos. It had been almost a year later. By that point in time, I hadn't exactly really been thinking about making content on YouTube until the same friend of mine that showed me Minecraft brought up the idea of making gaming videos on YouTube. And with that suggestion, I knew exactly what I would do. So I started a Minecraft survival series inspired by Stampy's Lovely World. But Minecraft wasn't the only game I made videos on. I also made other videos on games like Battle Block Theater, LEGO Dimensions, and LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. But eventually, I took a bit of a break from making YouTube videos. Until 2017. At some point in time, one of the Minecraft YouTubers that I got into was Pink Sheep, a YouTube channel based around a character from Exploding TNT's Minecraft Machinima series. Now, the reason why I am mentioning this YouTube channel is because at one point when I was watching a video when Pink Sheep reacted to comments, he played the Pokemon theme song on a flute. And for some reason, me seeing this is what started to get me interested in Pokemon. But by that point, I hadn't yet properly gotten into Pokemon. Not until I would be introduced to Roblox. On February 7th, 2017, I created my Roblox account. And one of the first Roblox games that I got into did not just get me into Roblox, it also got me into Pokemon. And when I searched up Pokemon games on Roblox because of my interest in Pokemon, I found Pokemon Brick Bronze. I think it's safe to say that Pokemon Brick Bronze has and always will be my favorite Roblox game. As I played through the game, I became a fan of the characters and story. As for the Pokemon I had a Charizard called Beastman. I also had an Ampharos and a Rhyhorn. At some point I used a Lucario. And of course I had the level 50 Absol that joined your team. Also through the trade resort I got a Greninja, a Talonflame, a Lapras, and a Noivern. As for the Roblox side of things, I got into games like Jailbreak, Murder Mystery 2, Clone Tycoon 2, and a few others. As for Pokemon, I got into the anime around the time of the Sun and Moon English dub, mostly through the Pokemon TV app. Also, another thing that I became a fan of through the Pokemon TV app is Pokemon Origins, which I'd say is my favorite Pokemon anime. But as for games, I played Pokemon Moon on the 3DS, and Pokemon Go when I first got my own phone. But if you played Pokemon Brick Bronze back in the day, you likely know what happened back in 2018. The game got shut down due to a cease and desist by Nintendo. The first time I heard about it, I was really upset by it. In a way, I had sort of been neglecting the game and playing Jailbreak more often. But anyway, sometime during 2018, I got into Fortnite. But I'm not really gonna get into that, because I don't really like the game. Let's just say I quit during 2019. Anyway, now let's talk about the company that got one of my favorite games taken down. So yeah, during 2018, I got a Nintendo Switch anyway, and played games like Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I think is what inspired me to get into SMG4 in the first place. But anyway, after I finished my Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World of Light playthrough, I was tricked into having a sub race with someone to 100 subscribers. Now, this was sometime around the hype of PewDiePie versus T-Series, and I think the person that challenged me wanted to replicate the hype of what PewDiePie versus T-Series was for attention. But honestly, it really put a lot of pressure onto me, and it felt like it unintentionally cultivated people against my channel. Despite beforehand I just uploaded videos about games that I enjoyed playing. Anyway, at some point afterwards I just dropped out of the sub race, but following that things still got even worse due to allegations that led me to get picked on and bullied a lot. And honestly, if I had the ability to go back in time, I would have tried to prevent myself from accepting that sub race. But anyway, on the more positive side, based on my interest in storytime animation videos at the time, I made another channel to talk about past IRL experiences. Also, Lumion Legacy, which is the sequel to Pokemon Break Bronze, came out, series, which I've been playing since day one. I also made another Minecraft series with a creeper skin. I also played games like Luigi's Mansion and Pokémon Shield on my channel. I spent a lot of time playing Pokémon Shield, and to be honest, it hasn't really held up as well as other things, although I did spend a lot of hours playing this game. So I'd say there definitely is an extent of nostalgia to it. Around this time, I also started making YTP videos on my second channel. Anyway, another game that I made a series on my channel was Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville. And as I played through that series right before 2020, I mainly imagined that I would be mainly playing the new Animal Crossing game and maybe the new LEGO Star Wars game as well, but I was not expecting what would happen next year. Very soon into the year, the world spiraled into a global pandemic, causing a lockdown where we all had to stay inside. Meanwhile, I had been continuing making videos on games that I played as usual, including Animal Crossing New Horizons, as well as starting a LEGO stop-motion series called The Squad, which I abandoned after 4 episodes. But eventually, I noticed a game that had gotten really popular on Roblox, and that game was called Piggy. So I made a video on it to check it out, and to be honest, I did not understand it at all. It felt kinda unappealing to me at the time because it looked like it was based on Peppa Pig characters, but little did I know, this game would go on to take over my channel. And a little while later, around the time when chapter 12 came out, I actually started to get into the game. Another thing that I'd say got me into Piggy around that time is Creecraft's content on it around that time, and there was also the true ending, where it took people several days to find a piece of paper under a car, and Creecraft spent several hours live streaming about the Piggy true ending. And honestly, I was so happy finally completing the true ending that I'd say it's part of what really solidified me getting into Piggy. But Piggy wasn't the only Roblox game that I played during 2020. I also played through Field Trip Z each time it updated during 2020, and also games inspired by Piggy like Kitty, Ronald, and Jerry. But meanwhile, Piggy released a mode called Build Mode, which, to be honest, at the time, it was such a novel and cool idea, which honestly, in my opinion, was executed quite well. On the first day it came out, I started making a lab map, and managed to get Creecraft to notice a post about it. But I forgot to put my Roblox username on the post, so I couldn't get Creek to join in, which was unfortunate. Not too long after the release of Piggy Build Mode, we would get a teaser for the sequel to Roblox Piggy's story. But before we would get a bigger trailer for Piggy 2, Lumia Legacy released its long-awaited Sephiroth City update, which was pretty cool. But not too long afterward, a proper full trailer for Piggy Book 2 would be released, showcasing multiple different brief moments, which teased the storyline of Book 2, which moves through a corridor of what we now know as the lab chapter, until we reach a small room with the cure inside it, making itself clear that the suggestion at the end of Book 1 to find the cure is going to be the end goal of Book 2. Anyway, flash forward to September. I had started to make video thumbnails with Roblox Studio, and also play through Henry Stickmin completing the mission, but on September 12th, Piggy Book 2 released. Starting off with a flashback prologue, which leads to the introduction of the TSP and Willow as a character, as antagonists, who kidnap and infect Zizzy, and then raid the safe place and kidnap most of the members of it. And aside from Winter Holiday, that's all of the Book 2 chapters during 2020. So far, it was a pretty good setup to what comes later. Anyway, as for non-Piggy related stuff around that time, Steve was added into Super Smash Bros., which I gotta be honest is way cooler than the Minecraft movie. RB Battle Season 2 and Ready Player 2 were pretty big events that I made quite a lot of videos on. I also played through Disney Infinity for nostalgia's sake, and Super Mario Odyssey through towards 2021. Since then, for the most part, 2021 had actually been really great. And I'd say the biggest parts of that were Piggy, Dream SMP, and SMG4. Early 2021 was probably my favorite era of Piggy in general. Not just with Chapter 5 and 6, but also the content creators that started to get properly prominent around this era, making enjoyable content and animations. Especially Dexter Plays' early 2021 Piggy series. I had also met someone called Raptor Brandon, also known as B Piggy, who at the time, looking at his channel, started to get me interested in Piggy build mode series, which is why I decided to help him work on his series. So I pitched a video that introduces Roast into the B Piggy storyline, and when I joined Brandon's build mode server, I also met Enderwave, and from there, I helped work on both Brandon and Enderwave's series. Through the B Piggy series, I also started to get into animating on Roblox Studio, where I made prequel lore videos for the B Piggy series. And around the time of season 2 of B Piggy series, I started a spin-off series called Roast Adventures about the B Piggy version of Roast. As for Enderwave's old series, wow, man, it went on for so long. There were so many seasons of it, but it didn't always go that smoothly. I had conflicts with Enderwave and Brandon, which have all been resolved, so don't worry. I tried to get Zizzy infected in B Piggy's storyline, but it didn't exactly go over well with Brandon, so I scrapped that idea. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Brandon, if you're watching this, I'm sorry for trying to do that. Anyway, another Piggy series that I got into during 2021 was The Worst Piggy Player, and Piggy Book 2 kept going up to Chapter 12 and the hidden ending. Also, after B Piggy Season 3, I decided to continue the series with my own version of B Piggy Season 4. I managed to get one of my comment suggestions animated in a red ninja animating your comments video. But going forward into 2022, I had made an enemy. Near the end of 2021, I had met someone called Ruz Plays Piggy, who was another person who I helped work on their build mode series, and I got along with him fine, but that was until I got in an argument with him on Discord about an animation that I made for him that he didn't like. Despite this, he still kept the animations that I made for him in further chapters of his series, without at the time crediting me for making the animations. So after finishing my Pokemon Legends Arceus series, I felt like I needed to spread awareness about this situation to the build mode community, which started a whole war against Ruz, and I guess eventually it died down. And some other stuff to do with Ruz happened throughout the year, but eventually it led me to making a final video about Ruz, where I completely disassociated myself from him. I still have no interest in being friends with Ruz again. Another series that I helped work on through 2021 into 2022 was Clytronic's Lights Out series, and also Enderwave's at the time new series called Piggy Lost Time. And I played the new LEGO Star Wars game, and the Lumion Legacy Atlantean City update finally came out, as well as the Piggy Breakout chapter, which I'd say so far is still my favorite Piggy chapter. I also started making Piggy build mode videos quite often. I also started working with Piggy Stories, also known as Masked Piggy, on a multiversal crossover series called Piggy Villain Tales, which includes characters from B Piggy and Lost Time, although the story ended up being a mess in some places. And then I got added to a little Piggy build mode competition called Summer Wars, which is basically a Piggy build mode competition where you basically make a better build than the other person in the round. On top of that, Summer Wars also had a little bit of lore in it, which I decided to join in on. As for the competition itself, I got to second place before losing to F Doggo. Meanwhile, I had started started a Piggy build mode suggestion review series and made a Piggy Retros retrospective video, but eventually I would start a new Piggy series called Piggy Insolential, which I released 3 episodes of later into 2022. I also became the voice actor for Pony in Piggy the Lost Cure. I also made my most viewed video ever, which is actually on my second channel. I tried doing a series playing through Pokémon Violet, but the recordings on the capture card kept corrupting, which is why I haven't made any console game playthrough videos in a very long time. Anyway, I also started making Knuckles Approves videos on my second channel, and I made a very opinionated video about Willow. And to close out 2022, Piggy Insolential won Best Refreshing New Series in Jam Jameer's Piggy Build Mode Community Awards. Anyway, going into 2023, I brought back the Roast Adventures series for a storyline where Roast, Doggy, and Tigery explore the Piggy multiverse. And a pretty big Piggy build mode update came out, which led to some of the most viewed videos on my channel. Track and Control episode 7 came out, which I was included as a little voice cameo in. And Piggy Insolential episodes had been releasing slowly throughout the year, but at some point when I joined an also Hyena stream, despite siding with him when he was facing false allegations, his community still targeted me for expressing an opinion. Now, there is kind of a consensus among people in the Piggy build mode community that I'm a doggy simp because of the way I act when expressing my opinions. Despite that being overblown and very exaggerated, I recognize that the way I acted was very immature when expressing those opinions. So I decided to be the bigger person and apologize. So Hyena's community made themselves clear enough that they don't want me around. And you know what? Since then, I still don't really want to associate with Hyena's community, outside of stuff to do with Summer Wars and Jam Jameer. Meanwhile, Piggy Summer Wars returned with its Season 2, which I helped work on the story for and make animation scenes for. But from seeing the animations that I made for Summer Wars, a certain person had criticisms. Jack XD criticized the way the characters walked as if they were walking on ice. And you know what? I quietly took note of it to improve my animations for the better, because the way he did it was clear and understandable feedback. But on October, Stampy's lovely world came to an end, and as the characters walked in the distance, I couldn't help but get emotional about the series of the first YouTuber I got into ending. But on a more positive note, I started releasing non-build mode related animations, including a little crossover animation called Piggy Winter All-Stars. Lumion Legacy also released its Atlantean City Part 2 update. Anyway, going into 2024, I started off quite strong, with animations, live streams, and regular videos at a consistent pace. But that didn't really last. Now, before I get into the topic of procrastination and how it has been affecting my YouTube channel, I'm gonna go over the most prominent 2024 moments. I started showing off my interest in a Piggy cinematic universe, with Piggy YouTubers at the center of it. I also started working with Enderwave on Piggy Lost Time Season 1 remakes. Roblox released quite a big event called The Hunt, including a new Piggy chapter and a new Doors event that I managed to complete. I live streamed a Minecraft server that I made, which I soon would very much come to regret. Based on my hype for Deadpool and Wolverine, I made an animation crossing Deadpool over with Piggy. Piggy released a badge quest called Keymaster, which I think I might have been among one of the first people to complete. But afterwards, a new Piggy game released, called Pig 64. I was also featured as a presenter in Jam Jameer's latest Piggy Build Mode Community Awards. I also made an animation remaking the first Be Piggy Prequels episode. I also released what I'd say is my best review video. I also played the Decay chapter on my most successful stream so far. Anyway, as of 2025 so far, I eventually managed to complete the Mrs. P skin quest. With the help of a certain multi-squad, I finally released a 5-year Piggy anniversary animation video, which I'd say released way later than it should have. I also played through the Hunt Mega Edition, and up to this point, after watching Minecraft Live, I had almost gotten scammed out of 7k Robux, which was absolutely crazy, but also, I played through the April Fool's Piggy Book 3 chapter, and got the Minecraft movie Yearn cape from the Minecraft movie event. But as of 2023, I believe, there has been a problem with my YouTube channel, which has been procrastination. Now, because of this, content has basically been quite inconsistently sporadic. I still haven't continued Piggy Insolential since late 2023, and generally because of procrastination, content hasn't exactly been as often as I would like it to. But there's also something else, which is nostalgia, which I'm not going to describe as a negative thing, but as I've gone over in this video, I have been into many different things, which have meant a lot to me, and through nostalgia, I'm quite clingy to them. But over the course of time, eras change, and things end, and as you experience it, you start to feel older, and at the moment, that and procrastination is where I am at right now. Now, contrary to the nature of what I just said, you don't need to feel bad for me. I went down this path through my own choice. Anyway, as of what I'm gonna do going forward, since my Piggy 5-year anniversary video took way longer than it should have, I wasn't really able to release certain stuff when I was planning to. So as of when I upload this video, and throughout May, I'm gonna take a break from regular uploads to focus on working on stuff that I plan to release around the time of when I properly return. But if something important enough to do with Piggy or something else comes up, I'll likely cover it in a live stream. Anyway, as of now, that has been the history of RoastCM. Make sure to like and subscribe, and bye!